is what you think about, then I have to disagree with you. That would be, is that?
It doesn't help, because if your object is a proposition,
Mm-hmm.
right, then and the proposition can be Hugh is standing, let's say, then it just doesn't answer the question. So what you're thinking about, the object that we're talking about, the intentional object is Hugh, right? And that's what you want to get away from.
No. The intentional object is the proposition.
Well, intentionality can. Intentionality.
The way I use intentional object.
Well, it can be a relation to a content, but then when we talk about the intentional object of that thought is Hugh. And there is also the proposition.
No, I confuse things here in not getting clear on this. By intentional object, I don't mean object that is like an individual object. It's whatever is thought about. If what is thought about is a proposition or a property, then those will count as intentional objects. Properties, for example, will be intentional objects. Propositions will be.
All those things, propositions could be intentional objects too. But in the debate that you're engaged in, it's not about whether propositions are eliminable or any of that. It's about whether.
It is, because propositions will be thinkables.
Now, I've got a very long list of people here.
But what I should just say is that this will take 7 seconds. No, but all I want to say is that the whole issue is whether thinkables exist or not.
I agree. Merely thinkables.
Right, mere thinkables.
So I'm wondering, will you pursue so you can actually capture the wide aspects of meaning? So let's take twin Oscar. Right? So if I tell you that twin Oscar is thinking about water, you say, well, that's false. But is he thinking water-wise or waterly? Well, it seems that it could be, right? So you got true for that one, whereas the original sentence would be false. And so it seems that some wide aspect of meaning is lacking.
Cool. So there's a couple of things I want to say about this. First, I think this will, in general, will be in the same ballpark as the intentionality issue. But more specifically, there is a hidden agenda behind all of this, which is to push a strongly internalist view of intentionality. I actually deny that intentional states have a wide content. Well, I agree that there is a property of being related to these things, but I don't think it's an intentional property. So I think wide content is not real content. Personally, I never got the Putnam and Birch intuitions that I was supposed to get. I don't think that what Oscar and Tosker are thinking about are different things. I think that XYZ is actually water. My view is that XYZ is water. It's just water is multiply realizable, and H2O is not identical to water. It's only constitutes. It's a material constitution of, as Mark Johnston maintains.
So you don't get the intuition that when I say to you, well, twin Oscar, so of course, against the background of the story, that twin Oscar is thinking about water. There's something odd.
Not at all. I'm not at all getting that. There is a variant on this, which I do get, when you say Oscar is thinking about his mother, twin Oscar is thinking about his mother. They're not thinking about the same thing. So in the case of singular intentionality, I definitely get the kind of intuitions that I'm supposed to get in the case of natural kind intentionality. But singular intentionality is the rare intentionality. That's and I'm not sure what to say about that, but I need to figure it out. But I think in that ballpark that you're pointing to are the deepest challenges to an adverbial account of intentionality.
Clarification on how the fictionalism sits with the rest of the story. So can you just perhaps go back to the slide where you had the fictionalist response? Maybe I just missed something there. I don't mean that honestly. I'm not playing.
So what's this around here? No.
Yeah, okay. So then I take one of the problems with these sort of approaches using fictionalism here is that where do you put the fictional operator when you've got comparisons between fictions, like Thor is more violent than Krishna. Where does the fictional operator go? In the story of Thor, no, that's exactly false. So you've got the problem of where to put the fictional operator, and then it becomes sort of worse when you've got actual individuals who are not in particular stories. Thor is more violent than Uriah, and so this is I took to be the sort of strongest version of this sort of codification problem, so maybe you can deal with this by just the examples you had were kind of, I thought, the easier cases. I'm just not quite sure how the fictionalism sort of sits with the rest of it here, and how you
Right.
what I think are the more pressing problems with the potential objects.
So that sounds to me like an objection to fictionalism in general. How will fictionalism deal with the apparent quantification over fictional entities when there are these difficult cases of cross-fiction comparisons and comparisons between fiction and non-fiction? So let's see, when you say Thor is more violent than Uriah, I would have to, the paraphrase would be probably something like, in the Thor story, I have no idea what you're referring to actually. Who is this Thor?
Norse god.
Hmm?
Norse god.
Right. So in the relevant fiction, Thor is violent. Well, maybe I should say it the other way around. Uriah is violent to degree D, and in the relevant fiction, Thor is violent to degree D star, and D is smaller than D star. That's the paraphrase I would give to this one. It may be that it's problematic. I'm not well versed in that particular literature, but that's what comes to mind immediately.
That's going to commit you to something like degrees now. Many of it pushes the lumps elsewhere. But that's what I took to be the problem with these sorts of approaches. You get away from commitments to the fictional entities, but now you're committed to degrees.
Interesting. So suppose I say in the what's the degree fiction? The mathematics. That's the so in the fiction of math, there are degrees D star and D, and Uriah is violent to degree D, and in the fiction or the Thor fiction, Thor is violent to degree D star, and D is smaller than D star. I don't know. Is that?
Mark, I'm going to cut you off now because I've got a very long list of questions still, and I've also was a sort of forest of fingers on this point. I'm down to one of them, which is Amy.
Yeah, this was my hand. You can scratch my list. Yeah, I mean, there's also other sorts of well-known difficulties for these kinds of paraphrase strategies, apart from the sort of comparative issues, cases in which the content of what you're claiming about the merely intentional object can't be something that it has according to the story, dream, or whatever. So famously for fictional characters, right, you get things like Sherlock Holmes was created by Arthur Conan Doyle, is a famous fictional character, blah, blah. You can see if we can get these even for rather sort of mere intentionalia, like the dragon I dreamt of last night is the same as the one I dreamt of as a child, or was the product of me playing too many video games. Things that aren't sort of according to the dream.
Right. Yes. So that particular issue I actually did think about. This is a case where you're referring to fictional characters in a literary context, the context of literary criticism. You say something like, well, just like what you said, Sherlock Holmes was created by Conan Doyle. It's not like any fiction he was created, and he really was created. What I want to say about this is that Sherlock Holmes is actually an ambiguous term. It's a term for I like to distinguish fictional individuals from fictional characters. Fictional individuals are the things that the story is about. A fictional character is a literary entity